Have you ever wondered what would happen if the Amazon rainforest, the lungs of our planet, suddenly vanished? Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the largest rainforest on Earth, home to millions of species and a lifeline for humanity, was gone. The air would feel different. The climate would begin to unravel, and life as we know it would change in ways we can hardly imagine. This is World's Echoes, where we explore the deepest mysteries of our planet and our place within it. If you love uncovering the hidden truths of Earth and the universe, make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey, because today we're about to step into one of the most haunting what-ifs of our time: the disappearance of the Amazon rainforest. When you think about the Amazon, the first images that come to mind are endless green canopies, winding rivers, and the chorus of birds, insects, and animals echoing through the jungle. But behind that beauty lies something far greater. The Amazon isn't just a forest. It's a living, breathing machine that regulates the heartbeat of our planet. It produces around 20% of the Earth's oxygen, stores an unimaginable amount of carbon, and controls rainfall patterns that stretch across continents. Without it, the balance that allows humanity to thrive could collapse. And yet, despite its importance, this vital ecosystem is slowly being pushed to the brink. The Amazon has often been called Earth's lungs, but that phrase barely scratches the surface. If the Amazon were to disappear, we wouldn't just lose a forest, we would lose a system that has taken tens of millions of years to evolve, a system that provides us with clean air, stable weather, and even medicines that save lives. To truly understand what's at stake, we have to imagine a world where the Amazon is no longer here. What would happen to our air, our food, our climate, and perhaps even to our survival itself? The Amazon rainforest stretches across 9 countries in South America, but most of it lies within Brazil. It's a world so vast that if you could fly over it from end to end, you'd see nothing but green for hours. From above, the trees form a thick emerald carpet, but beneath that canopy is a universe of life. Creatures that have never been named, plants that hold secrets to future cures, and rivers that carry more water than any other system on Earth. It's the closest thing we have to a living heartbeat of the planet. Now imagine silencing that heartbeat. Imagine those endless trees turning into barren soil. Imagine the rivers shrinking, the animals disappearing, and the skies filling not with rain, but with smoke. That's the reality we're inching toward. Scientists warn that the Amazon is approaching what they call a tipping point, the moment when deforestation, fires, and climate stress push the forest past the ability to regenerate itself. Instead of absorbing carbon, the Amazon would begin releasing it in catastrophic amounts. Instead of cooling the planet, it would start heating it. Think about that for a second. The very forest that has helped keep Earth habitable for millions of years could transform into a machine that accelerates its collapse. The Amazon currently stores more than 90 billion tons of carbon. If all of that were released into the atmosphere, it would be like igniting a fuse under the stability of human civilization. But it's not just carbon we should worry about. The Amazon creates its own weather. Moisture rises from the trees and forms clouds, which then fall back as rain. This cycle is so powerful that it feeds not just South America, but even affects rainfall as far away as the United States and Africa. Without the Amazon, farmlands thousands of miles away could dry up, crops would fail, water supplies would dwindle, and entire regions could become uninhabitable. And then there's the biodiversity.
More than 10 million species may live in the Amazon, many found nowhere else on Earth. From the brilliant macaws soaring above the treetops to microscopic organisms hidden in the soil, each plays a role in the balance of life. If the Amazon disappeared, so would this intricate web of species. Extinctions would skyrocket. Medicines we've yet to discover would vanish with them. Humanity would lose not only the treasures we know, but countless ones we never had a chance to find. The disappearance of the Amazon wouldn't just be a local tragedy for South America. It would be a global catastrophe. The air you breathe in Asia, the crops grown in Africa, the rainfall patterns in North America, all of them are connected to this single forest. It is a hidden thread woven into the fabric of life everywhere. Pull that thread, and the entire fabric begins to unravel. You may wonder, how close are we to this nightmare? Deforestation has already claimed nearly 20% of the Amazon. Fires, often deliberately set, eat away at millions of acres each year. Mining and agriculture carve deeper into its heart. Scientists estimate that once 25% of the forest is gone, the tipping point could be reached. That means we're closer than most of us realize. The lungs of Earth are already struggling to breathe. And here's the most haunting thought. Even if the Amazon doesn't vanish overnight, losing it slowly could be just as devastating. Climate change doesn't happen in sudden leaps. It happens in steady, relentless steps. Each tree cut down, each fire allowed to burn, each acre converted to farmland nudges us closer to a world none of us want to see. For a moment, try to picture this future. Imagine standing in what was once the heart of the Amazon, only to find a wasteland. The birds that once filled the skies are silent. The rivers are sluggish and brown. The air is heavy with heat, not cool with life. That silence, that emptiness, would echo across the entire planet. When we look at a map, the Amazon seems like a patch of green in South America. But what that patch truly represents is a living machine, one that took millions of years to construct itself through evolution, rainfall, and time. The forest does not just exist, it functions. And like any complex system, once disrupted beyond a certain point, the balance collapses. Start with the trees themselves. A single giant in the Amazon can be hundreds of years old, towering higher than most buildings. It doesn't just stand there, it pumps water into the atmosphere. Through a process called transpiration, billions of trees release moisture that rises, condenses, and falls back down as rain. The Amazon actually creates half of its own rainfall. Without those trees, that cycle would break. Instead of clouds forming above the canopy, the skies would become barren, the rains less frequent, the soil drier. What was once a lush paradise could shift into a savanna or even a desert. The Amazon's rain-making machine influences weather far beyond its borders. Scientists have tracked moisture patterns carried by the winds from the forest that reach across the Atlantic, feeding rainfall in West Africa. In North America, agricultural regions like the Midwest depend indirectly on the Amazon's stability. Imagine wheat fields in the US, rice paddies in Asia, or maize fields in Africa, all feeling the echo of a collapsing Amazon. A farmer thousands of miles away who has never seen the rainforest could lose crops because its clouds no longer form. Earth's systems are interconnected in ways we are only beginning to understand. The Amazon is not just in South America. It is in your lungs every time you take a breath. It is in your food when rainfall waters the fields that grow it. It is in the stability of seasons that make our world predictable enough for humans to thrive. Remove it, and we don't just lose a forest, we lose stability. The Amazon's role as a carbon vault is another dimension. Over tens of millions of years, the rainforest has been absorbing carbon dioxide and storing it in its trees, soil, and rivers. This storage helps keep Earth's temperature stable. Right now, the Amazon holds around 90 billion tons of carbon, more than twice the amount humans release globally in a year. If the forest dies, much of that carbon goes back into the sky, accelerating climate change. It's like opening a furnace that no one can close. Imagine this. We are already struggling with rising temperatures, stronger hurricanes, destructive wildfires, and collapsing ice sheets. Now imagine all of that intensifying because the Amazon has gone from absorbing carbon to releasing it. The melting of glaciers would speed up. Sea levels would rise even faster. Entire coastal cities could be submerged. The chain reaction would ripple across every corner of the world. And it's not just the climate and weather that would shift, it's the living world itself. The Amazon is home to more than 10% of all species known to science. Jaguars prowl its shadows.
Pink river dolphins swim in its waters, and brilliant blue morpho butterflies flash through its canopy. But the truth is, most of its species remain unknown. Scientists estimate that millions of plants, insects, and microorganisms still haven't been cataloged. Hidden within them could be medicines that cure diseases we haven't yet faced. By losing the Amazon, we aren't just cutting down trees, we're cutting off possibilities. We're turning our backs on cures that could one day save millions of lives. But extinction isn't just about numbers or lost cures, it's about silence. The Amazon is one of the loudest places on Earth. Frogs croaking, birds calling, monkeys howling, insects buzzing, water rushing. If it disappeared, so would that soundscape. What was once alive with millions of voices would fall quiet. The silence of a dead rainforest would be one of the most haunting sounds humanity could ever face. Now consider the human side. 34 million people live in the Amazon, including hundreds of indigenous groups who have called the forest home for thousands of years. Their cultures, traditions, and knowledge of the forest are treasures as vital as the rainforest itself. If the Amazon disappears, they lose their home. And with them, humanity loses wisdom passed down through generations, knowledge about plants, animals, medicines, and survival that no textbook holds because it lives in their experience. Imagine entire cultures vanishing alongside the trees. It would be as though entire libraries were set on fire, each one holding irreplaceable knowledge. Yet despite this, the destruction continues. Each year, millions of acres are cleared for cattle ranching, soy farming, and mining. Fires burn for weeks, sometimes months, releasing smoke that can be seen from space. And while international outcry rises each time those images spread, the reality on the ground changes slowly. The pressures of global demand, politics, and economics keep fueling the destruction. Humanity's hunger for resources, from beef to gold to timber, is eating away at the very system that sustains us. And here's the terrifying irony. The Amazon doesn't have to disappear completely to cause catastrophe. Scientists warn that losing just a quarter of the forest may push it beyond the tipping point, the stage where it cannot recover. At that point, the ecosystem collapses into something entirely different. Trees stop growing back, the rains weaken, fires spread more easily. Instead of a lush rainforest, we're left with a dry savanna. And once that shift begins, it may be irreversible. Pause for a moment and imagine that transformation. Picture the emerald expanse of the Amazon turning brown, its rivers shrinking, its skies losing their clouds. This isn't science fiction. It's a very real possibility, and it's unfolding in our lifetimes.
Sometimes it's easy to think of climate change and environmental collapse as distant, slow-moving problems, but the Amazon reminds us that tipping points can come suddenly. One year, the forest looks green and endless. The next, large parts may never grow back. The line between stability and collapse is thinner than we like to believe. So ask yourself this: if the Amazon disappeared, could humanity survive? Could we adapt to a hotter, drier, more unstable world? Could we feed billions with disrupted rains and collapsing farmlands? Could we breathe easily knowing the shield of carbon storage was gone? These are not abstract questions. They're questions that cut to the heart of our future. The truth is, survival might still be possible, but it would be harder, harsher, and more uncertain. Billions would be pushed into crisis, millions would lose their homes, and the stability that allows our civilizations to flourish would fracture. Humanity might endure, but it would be a world of scarcity, conflict, and loss. A world haunted by the memory of what was once alive.
And yet, even as we stand on this edge, there is still hope. Scientists, activists, indigenous communities, and governments are fighting to protect what remains. Reforestation efforts are underway. Laws are being strengthened. Awareness is growing that the Amazon is not a resource to be exploited endlessly. It is a lifeline to be protected fiercely. But whether that awareness is enough, whether action comes in time, remains uncertain. When we think about forests, it's easy to imagine them as separate patches of green scattered across the planet. But the Amazon is not just another forest. It is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth, larger than the entire European Union, stretching across an area so vast it could swallow dozens of countries whole. This sheer size is not just impressive, it's essential. It's what allows the Amazon to influence the world's climate, recycle water on a continental scale, and serve as a cradle of biodiversity like no other. But if it vanished, the very scale that makes it powerful would make its loss devastating. Earth has other rainforests, but none compare in size or complexity. Losing the Amazon would be like losing the heart from a body. You cannot just simply replace it with something smaller and expect life to go on as before. Scientists often describe the Amazon as a tipping element in Earth's climate system. This means that its collapse wouldn't just damage the planet. It would trigger cascading effects that spread like falling dominoes. A hotter Amazon releases more carbon. More carbon means faster warming. More warming melts more ice in Greenland and Antarctica, raising seas. Warmer seas fuel stronger storms that devastate coastlines. Droughts become longer, fires more destructive. The disappearance of one forest could ignite a chain reaction that touches everything from the Arctic to the Sahara. But let's not just talk in terms of science. Let's imagine this through human eyes. Picture a farmer in Africa, thousands of miles away, watching his crops wither because rainfall patterns have shifted. He has never set foot in Brazil, has never seen the Amazon with his own eyes, but his life is tied to it nonetheless. Picture families in Asia facing food shortages, not because of local problems, but because the Amazon no longer exhales the rains that once reached their fields. Picture millions in coastal cities facing floods, partly fueled by carbon that once rested safely inside Amazonian trees. The Amazon may feel far away, but in truth, it lives in each of us. And this brings us to a haunting reality. If the Amazon disappears, inequality across the world could worsen dramatically. The wealthy might adapt with technology, desalination plants for water, advanced greenhouses for food. But the poor,
Those already living close to the edge will feel the brunt of the collapse. Drought, hunger, and displacement would rise. Conflicts for resources would ignite. Climate refugees would grow in number. Nations would face strains unlike anything seen before. The Amazon is not just an environmental crisis, it would be a humanitarian one. Yet here's a paradox. While the Amazon sustains humanity, much of its destruction is driven by humanity itself. Global demand for beef, soy, timber, and minerals pushes deeper into the forest. Every burger eaten, every product purchased may carry with it the shadow of deforestation. It's unsettling to realize that choices made in supermarkets thousands of miles away can decide the fate of Earth's greatest forest. And this leads to an uncomfortable truth. Saving the Amazon is not just Brazil's responsibility, it's everyone's. Still, despite this knowledge, the destruction continues. Fires rage, chainsaws roar, politicians debate, and each year, another piece of the forest is lost. It raises a painful question. How much do we truly value the Amazon? Do we see it as a priceless lifeline, or simply land to be used? Perhaps the most sobering thought is this. The Amazon has survived ice ages, extinctions, and shifts in climate for tens of millions of years. It has endured storms, droughts, and change, but it may not survive us. Humanity could become the single force powerful enough to erase it, and in doing so, we would erase part of ourselves. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the last tree falling in the Amazon. Imagine the silence that follows, the heat, the emptiness. Would future generations look back and ask why we let it happen? Would they understand that we had the chance to stop it but chose convenience instead? Or would they never even know what was lost because the memory of the Amazon faded into legend like Atlantis or Eden? And now I want to ask you something. If the Amazon disappeared tomorrow, what would you miss the most? The animals? The medicines we will never discover? The rains that feed the world? Or simply the knowledge that such a place existed at all? Let me know what you think in the comments, because this isn't just a question of science, it's a question of what kind of future we want to believe in. The Amazon is often described as the lungs of the earth, but perhaps that metaphor is too simple. In truth, it acts like the planet's heartbeat, its circulation system, and even its pharmacy all at once. Beneath the green canopy lies a world of connections we're only beginning to understand. Take, for example, the invisible rivers of the sky. Each day, the forest releases billions of tons of water vapor into the atmosphere. This vapor doesn't just fall back down nearby. It is carried by winds across entire continents. Scientists have traced these invisible rivers to farmlands, mountain ranges, and even oceans, proving that the Amazon's rainfall is not local, but global.
If the forest disappears, those invisible rivers dry up, leaving behind not only cracked soil, but a climate map forever altered. But the forest doesn't only give water, it shapes temperature itself. As sunlight strikes the dense canopy, trees absorb heat and release moisture, cooling the air above them. The Amazon acts like a giant natural air conditioner, preventing regional temperatures from spiking too high. Remove it, and South America could heat several degrees almost overnight. That increase wouldn't stay confined. It would ripple outward, influencing jet streams, storm tracks, and even monsoon patterns half a world away. Imagine South Asia's monsoons weakening or shifting, threatening billions of lives. Imagine heat waves becoming so intense that regions once livable turn into ovens. This isn't just about trees, it's about the stability of the entire planetary system. And then there are the soils of the Amazon, often overlooked but no less important. Unlike the rich black soils of temperate regions, Amazonian soil is surprisingly poor. The fertility of the forest doesn't come from the ground, but from the recycling of life itself. Leaves fall, decompose, and are absorbed back into the roots. Insects break down deadwood, and nutrients return in a cycle that has continued for millions of years. Destroy the canopy, and that cycle collapses. The tropical rains wash away the thin layer of nutrients, leaving behind barren dirt. Without trees to hold it, the land cannot recover. What was once paradise becomes wasteland. And here's the shocking part. This transformation can happen in just a few years. But perhaps the most mysterious aspect of the Amazon lies in its unseen chemistry. Within its plants are compounds so complex they seem designed by nature's most brilliant alchemist. Modern medicine already owes much to rainforests, treatments for cancer, pain relief, antibiotics, and yet we've studied only a fraction of the species here. Somewhere in those untouched groves may lie cures for diseases that haven't even emerged yet. Without the Amazon, those cures die with the trees, vanishing before humanity ever knew they existed. The loss isn't just ecological, it's deeply personal. One day, it could mean a loved one's life cut short because the medicine that might have saved them was destroyed before we ever discovered it. The animals of the Amazon also hold secrets of survival. Some species navigate the darkness with sonar. Others communicate with chemicals. Others still thrive in flooded forests where humans could never live. Each adaptation is a lesson in resilience, creativity, and life's ability to solve impossible problems. To lose them is to lose teachers we never met, lessons we never learned, and possibilities we never imagined. And yet, the Amazon is not invincible. Fires spread faster now than they once did, fueled by hotter temperatures and human ignition. Each fire weakens the forest's ability to regenerate, leaving behind patches of grassland where trees once stood. Over time, these scars expand until they connect, forming a landscape that no longer functions as rainforest. It doesn't take the entire forest burning to cause collapse. Only enough small wounds connected over decades until the body of the Amazon cannot heal itself.
But let's step further into the what if. Imagine a world 50 years from now where the Amazon is gone. South America's climate has shifted into something unrecognizable. The once mighty rivers run low, no longer fed by forest rains. Cities like Manaus or Belém, once surrounded by vibrant life, now sit in barren plains, struggling for water. Indigenous groups have been scattered, their cultures broken, their wisdom lost. Global carbon levels have soared, pushing Earth's climate into dangerous extremes. Ice sheets collapse. Oceans swallow coastlines. Storms lash relentlessly, and deserts spread. Humanity scrambles to adapt, but technology can't replace what was lost. Artificial oxygen machines, vast desalination plants, and climate control experiments struggle to keep up, but none of them can recreate the living complexity of the Amazon.
Life becomes more artificial, more fragile, and less free. Now push that vision further. Imagine not just the Amazon gone, but the precedent it sets. If humanity allows the greatest rainforest on Earth to fall, what hope is there for smaller forests, for coral reefs, for wetlands? The loss of the Amazon could mark the beginning of a new era, not the Anthropocene, as scientists call it, but something harsher: the age of collapse. A time when ecosystems no longer bend but break one after another, until the world is stitched together by remnants instead of abundance. And what of the human spirit in such a world? History tells us that when civilizations lose their resources, they falter. The Mayans, the Easter Islanders, the ancestral Puebloans all faced ecological strain that reshaped their societies. If the Amazon falls, the collapse would be on a planetary scale. Will humanity rise to meet the challenge, or repeat the mistakes of history on a grander scale? That question remains open, but the warning signs are clear. Yet it is not all despair. The Amazon, for all its fragility, is also astonishingly resilient if given the chance. Small-scale reforestation projects have shown that the forest can return. Trees can regrow, wildlife can come back, rivers can revive. But it requires protection, time, and a global commitment to see the forest not as a resource to exploit, but as a partner in survival. Indigenous peoples already live with this understanding, treating the forest not as a thing, but as a relative. Perhaps their wisdom is the key. Still, the window of time is closing. Each year of inaction pushes the forest closer to its tipping point. Each delay increases the risk that collapse becomes unstoppable. And once it begins, once the Amazon tips into a different state, no amount of money or technology can bring it back. This is a deadline we cannot negotiate with. So imagine two futures side by side. In one, the Amazon is gone. The world is hotter, drier, and poorer for it. In the other, humanity acts in time, protecting and restoring the forest, ensuring it continues to breathe for millions of species, including us. Both futures are possible. Which one we live in depends on the choices being made right now, choices about consumption, energy, and values. The Amazon may be rooted in South America, but its survival depends on the entire planet. The Amazon is more than just a forest. It is a living memory of Earth itself. Long before humans appeared, this forest was already at work creating soils, guiding rivers, shaping winds, and weaving the endless symphony of life that still echoes today. To lose it would not simply be an ecological tragedy. It would be the silencing of a story that has been told for millions of years, a story that we had the privilege to witness and the responsibility to protect. Once it's gone, there is no bringing it back. Technology may advance. Scientists may talk of reforestation, of geoengineering, of planting billions of trees. Yet the Amazon is not just trees. It is an intricate, fragile network of species, climates, and cycles that cannot be recreated by human hands. You cannot program jaguars back into existence. You cannot code the song of unseen birds. You cannot whisper rainfall into a computer and call it real. The Amazon is a one-time gift, and if we squander it, it is lost forever. Some say humanity will adapt, that life will continue regardless. And perhaps it will. Cities may grow taller, machines may grow smarter, and humanity may stretch into space. But a planet without the Amazon would be less alive, less vibrant, less whole.
Imagine Earth as a painting. The Amazon is one of its boldest strokes of color. Remove it, and the canvas fades into something paler, something weaker. We would live in a world that feels emptier, even if we couldn't always explain why. The Amazon also forces us to confront a deeper question.
What do we see as valuable? In a world of profits, consumption, and endless growth, the forest stands as a reminder that not everything has a price. How do you put a number on the air we breathe, on the rains that feed us, on the medicine still waiting to be discovered, on the beauty of a place that has existed longer than humanity itself? Some truths are beyond economics, beyond politics. They are truths about life itself, and the Amazon is one of them. And yet, there is still hope. For all the destruction, for all the fires and chainsaws, the Amazon has not yet disappeared. It still stands, still breathes, still shelters more life than any other place on land. Every day, new discoveries are made. A new frog species, a new plant with unknown potential, a new bird song never before recorded. The Amazon is not gone. It is alive, though fragile, and that means there is still a chance, still a choice to protect it. This is not just about stopping deforestation. It is about rethinking our relationship with the natural world. For too long, we've seen forests as resources, oceans as dumps, animals as commodities. But the truth is simpler and far more profound. We are not separate from nature. We are part of it. When the forest suffers, we suffer. When it thrives, we thrive. The Amazon's survival is not charity for the planet. It is survival for ourselves. So the real question is not what happens if the Amazon disappears. The real question is what happens if we let it disappear? Because the forest will not vanish on its own. It will vanish because of choices. Choices made by governments, by industries, and yes, even by individuals. Every decision, every action adds up. The Amazon's fate is not sealed. It is being written right now, in this very moment, by us. And that should give us pause. Because if the story of the Amazon is one of destruction, then the story of humanity will be one of regret. But if the story of the Amazon is one of protection, resilience, and survival, then the story of humanity could be one of wisdom. We could be the generation that looked into the abyss and stepped back. We could be the people who said, enough, and chose life over convenience, future over short-term gain. In the end, the Amazon's fate is a mirror. It reflects who we are, what we value, and what kind of world we want to leave behind. Will we be remembered as the species that consumed everything until nothing was left? Or as the species that finally understood, that finally protected the very lungs of the earth before it was too late? The Amazon may seem far away, but it lives in every breath you take, every gust of wind, every drop of rain. Every whisper of life connects back to that vast green sea of trees. To lose it would be to lose part of ourselves. To protect it is to protect our future. The choice, as always, is ours. And so, if you've stayed with me through this exploration, I invite you to reflect on what the Amazon means to you, not just as a forest, but as a symbol of life itself. And if you believe this message matters, if you believe the story of the Amazon deserves to be heard, then please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to World's Echoes, where together we uncover the hidden truths of our world.